Good morning. Today is going to be a gentler, up close and personal kind of class where you're going to see much more closely for me on my shoulders or my torso or my hips. Today's about really good joint movement. I mean, all the sessions are about really good joint movement, but we're really going to focus in on a slow, very specific, notice what you feel, because so much of our pain and symptoms can be resolved when we grow the awareness of the way our biomechanics actually are. And so when you can improve the way your joints move so that that which is meant to move is moving and that which has been compensating stops compensating, you'll start to notice a much, much different experience in your body and how you feel. So today is a super quiet, easy breathing, specific joint movement day. Not unlike the other ones, but just a little more up close and personal. All right, here we go. So you can have the spinal strip, or you can use a rolled mat or a rolled blanket. The idea is it's this long, which is about the same length as a rolled mat, and you're going to place it right at where the bra strap is, so right opposite the bottom of the breastbone. And anatomically, it's about T7, T8. Okay, so you'll see here where that's placed and how, when I lay over it, see what happens to my chest here and my shoulders, they start to go down this way. Yeah, we're also in a back bend this way, right? So if I'm here when I came onto it, and then my pelvis starts to drop to the floor, so there's a back extension that comes down into the motion. And then there's this way. So I call this, it's not quite accurate, but I call this a vertical back bend and a horizontal back bend. Okay, even though it's not really, it's just a way to think about it. So this might lead to a little bit of strain in through your back or right up through here. You might be feeling that. So if that's the case, then what you're going to want to do is just lift your hips up a little bit. And notice if when you lift your hips up a little bit, if that actually shifts up the way this feels. So then if that's what happens, then just place your bum on a block. You don't need to suffer through strain. Now, I wouldn't take yourself much higher than the spinal strip. If you're higher than the spinal strip, then you're now just being in a supportive bridge. So there's not really any point in that. Or what you also can do, if you find that you're getting any sensation in through your neck or in your jaw, then place a blanket underneath your shoulder so that you raise this part of the back bend, you raise it up a little bit. Yeah? But place a blanket under there if you'd like, or a block on both sides. So really all it means is that when you come into a position and you had not been feeling strain, and now that you are, that you just didn't have quite the suppleness to come into it. So just shorten up your movement. Okay? So I'm just going to turn my head back and let's just do a little braided breathing. In the position that is most comfortable for you, and if you are not comfortable at all here, just come off and lie on your back. All right? Okay, here we go. So easy, 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 easy breathing. Inhale comes in. And exhale goes out. Easy in. Easy out. Easy in and easy out. Take another 2 breaths. And when you finish that second breath, on the exhale, come off of your prop and lay back. Now take a look at your right hand and put your index finger and your thumb tip together, and your left hand do the same thing. Raise your hands to the sky and bend the elbow a little bit. And now take those arms wide and then bring them up. So you'll notice here, my elbow is along for the ride. This angle isn't changing. It's my arm bone in the shoulder socket that's changing. So it's like you're pulling a thread. Okay, now take a look here. Right now you're in this position where your elbow is bent. It's more or less like you can see my elbow is pointing towards the screen. So now I'm going to rotate my arm bone. Now it looks like the elbow is now pointing towards my knees, right? Which it is, but it's not the elbow that did it. It came from the shoulder. So just notice what your available range is. No strain. Don't just do it because you can do the range. You don't want to feel any strain in here. Just find the range that works. Yeah. And then we're going to bring the arms wide. Great. Good. Now, rest your arms down for a moment. Feel yourself breathe. Now for fun, what we're going to do is you're just going to take your hands in and around. See where my ribs are here? You can see that through my shirt, right? You can see here, that's the edge of my ribs, okay? So I want you to find the edge of your ribs and just gently massage, really gently, along those ribs up towards the solar plexus. So you're going to come right up into here, okay? And then just feel along the ribs again, down to the bottom of your rib cage. And as you're doing that, just make sure you're breathing, and then come over to the other side. Easy, easy, easy breathing. What's interesting is where our hand is here. This is your area of your diaphragm. So just make sure you're breathing really easy. Okay. Now bring the arms back up again. Let's start with the index finger and thumb tip touching. Elbows bent. The articulating joint is the shoulder. Yeah. Okay, notice if there's anything different. Rotate that arm bone. Both sides. Is there any difference in how you're moving or how you're feeling after doing that little massage around the ribs? There might be, there might not be. It's just very interesting if there is. Okay, and bring the hands down. Easy, easy, easy breath. I'm going to scooch back so you can see my hips a little bit more. All right, so here I am now, and I know my head's off, but here I want you to focus there. I want you to take this first leg up, right? So you're going to take it into hip flexion, and you're going to rotate that leg bone. Now, what's really important here is how often when people lift this leg, their pelvis goes over, right? And then when they rotate it, their pelvis starts to move. So if I show my pelvis here, what happens is their pelvis often does something like this, and then when they rotate, the pelvis does this. If you want to improve the mechanics here so that then your QL isn't sore, or that your knee isn't sore, or even your ankle's not sore, and even your shoulder, you're going to want to really practice and figure out this pelvis staying quiet thing. So that as you lift the leg, you see how, if you watch my waistband here, you'll see how my leg is the piece that's moving. Yeah? I want you to pay close attention here to my belly. What I'm not doing is there. I'm not holding and then lifting, right? Which is very, very, very common. I'm just being easy here and I'm lifting. Okay? So we're going to do a couple things here. The first one is we're going to lift. You can see my ankle at the top of the screen. We're going to rotate. See my knee and my ankle, they're going along for the ride. The leg bone is moving in the hip socket. And then we're going to take that on. And notice if you can do that or not. Okay? And if you can't do it, no biggie. We're going to work on that. Okay? And then let's do the other side. Rotate. And the ankle comes on. Okay. So now, we've got the ball. We've done this before if you followed me. I'm sure you've done this other times. We've got a ball. You're going to take the ball underneath your hip. Okay? And you're just going to gently roll this out. Now, gently can be a bit of an interesting word, because if you're quite limited in here, you'll probably find some areas in and around your hip that are a little sweet, tender, like, ooh. And sometimes you won't even notice that they are. It surprised you to find them, I should say. Because so much of this tension lies under our level of awareness. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the other side now. So lift the hip. A lot of people don't realize how knee issues and hip issues are so closely correlated. So that if you think about it, the top of the knee, which is the femur, is the bottom of the hip. Same bone. And it fits into that socket, right? So if how that bone moves in this socket, right? That's that acetabulum of that, where the femur fits in. If there's stuff all around here that's not working well, that's going to possibly have an impact on that knee. Okay, so now from here, let's now take the legs into rotation this way. Now I've said this lots and lots and lots. When I use these massage balls, I don't actually do it to release something, although a release often happens. I do it to gain the awareness so that now we can retrain the coordination patterns of your leg bone and your hip socket and the tissue that's around them, so that in time you don't actually need this sucker. I mean, these yoga tune-up balls are lovely, but you You won't actually have to need it because you'll retrain your coordination patterns. Okay, so now you'll see how I've got a hand here at the front of my hip, as well as a hand here. So my leg is moving with gravity, right? So the leg bones are going to come out quite naturally because that's the way I'm going. The front of the hip, though, this hip flexor doesn't need to fire. It doesn't need to grip to slow you down to come down to this movement. Lots of people this will get really grippy and contracted and really ropey. So whatever the feeling is, whatever that sensation is right here, the quality of that, as you move, that should stay the same. So only go in the range of motion that you actually have smooth, easy movement. And if you want to play with this, notice what goes down at the heel, because let me scooch back a little bit here. So what can sometimes happen is that as the legs go wide, if this movement at the hip is limited, the heels are going to fall in. Okay? And I exaggerated that, but maybe I didn't for some of you. Sometimes it's just ever so slight. But that motion down there is a compensation for what's not happening here. Okay? So really have it be the leg bone moving in that hip socket. Yeah? And then you can slow it down as much as you'd like. And just be super, super, super easy. Okay, let's come back to taking the leg up, rotating here. Okay, so now what you might notice is that you've got a little bit more range in that hip socket without that pelvis moving. Yeah. And if you're able to bring your foot onto the knee because of what you were able to do with the leg, then you can now do this. Move that leg away from your pelvis. As this leg is moving away from the pelvis, it's the back of your hip here. It's your rotators that are doing the motion. Now you can take a look here at my band. You can see that my pelvis is staying still. It's not doing this. Yeah? Really, really, really common. Yeah? It's that leg is moving in the hip. Now notice further up the chain. Are your shoulders and your neck getting involved? Okay. Bring that leg down. Raise the other one up. Rotate it. So at least what you're probably getting a feel of is just what's going on through your hips. And you can always go back to legs up the wall, crossing that ankle as a starting point. If you're finding that this is just not happening, there's nothing wrong with your body. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just tissue and a connection, coordination thing that you get to improve. The thing is our bodies are very plastic. They can change. Tissue can change. It's just taking the time. Taking the time and being consistent and really honoring truly what your tissue is able to do. Okay. So now, I want you to lift up. Bring that ball here again. Rest on the ball. Now raise the leg. And we're going to rotate it. We're going to bring the leg wide a little bit. Rotate it and just kind of do whatever you'd like to do. Just make sure that as you're moving that your pelvis is staying quiet. And you can just move this leg bone in different orientations. Just going to move the ball a little bit there. Yeah. I just found a nice little spot right there. So if you're a runner, or if you like to ride your bike, and you sometimes get foot or back or SI joint pain, this might give you a bit of an understanding as to why. Because your pelvis is the platform, and your leg bone swings in that pelvis. So if there's something not quite working in this area very well, then how that foot lands on the floor, or on the ground, or through your pedal, and how the load is transferred through here, or through your back can be really impacted. Okay, and then take that away. Okay. Other side. Good. Okay. And then take that away. Okay, let's do another little test here. Let's raise one leg up. And then rotate it and bring it on. And let's see, was anything different for you? Anything different show up? Test out that rotation. So here's the thing. If you've had some improvement, there's some more smoothness in your movement, or it's easier, then you know for sure that that's available in your body. And you should be like thumbs up, right? So when you finish this practice, or even while you're in it, let me know. Was there a change? Anytime you do movement, anytime you're doing anything restorative or recuperative, if you've experienced that change, it means your body can have that change. So I do a happy dance inside when I'm working with a client and they experience less pain because I'm like, yes, that means I can help them have less pain. If you've had experience of less pain, it means you can have it. The trick is how you increase the stamina for that new pattern of movement. And that's where I can help you. I can help you through these videos. I can help you one-on-one. I can help you in Susie's resource library. It's something that I am very, 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 very good at helping people gain. It's one thing getting the short-term result. It's a whole other thing to have that short-term result become long-term and your new you. So if you would like my help as we grab our strap, okay, so now we're going to grab the strap. If you want my help, just send me a direct message, okay? Whether it's about Susie's resource library or private sessions, let me know. Changing the habit takes a little bit of time. So don't expect that you're going to get it done in one session, right? Just like if you want to lose weight, watch me here. I'm taking the strap around the bottom of my foot. Just like when you want to lose weight, it doesn't happen in one session, right? You got to build it. So let me just move back just a tad. Actually, no, I think you can see this because the focus here is on the hip. So leg bone, pelvis. Okay, so we're moving the leg bone into 90 degrees here. So we haven't done this. Yeah? The pelvis has stayed where it is. Whoops. Pelvis has stayed here. And the leg is lifted. Okay? And now, we're just straightening this knee. Okay? Now, I'm holding the strap. You can see, I'm holding the strap lightly. Now, depending on how much support you need, you might hold it a bit heavier. Just don't, like, white knuckle the crap out of it. Just be easy with your hand, okay? And then rotate that leg bone. Now pay attention that it's not your foot that's moving, right? It's not your foot that's doing the movement. It's not your knee. Your knee and your foot are at the bottom of the chain compared to that leg bone in the hip socket. Now you can see that I'm moving quite a bit here. Your movement may be a heck of a lot smaller, so don't compare what I'm doing to what you're doing. And if you can, see how my hand's in the front of my hip here? If you can, notice, and you want to be keeping the femur head as much as possible in the same position. There might be a little bit of hip flexion just because your leg is up and you're holding it, but not a lot. Most of the motion is coming from back here. On the way out anyway. Okay, good. And now, take the strap, if it's not already in your opposite hand, bring that, and then you're going to take the leg across. But again, this pelvis is staying right where it is. I'm not lifting the pelvis off the floor. I'm just bringing the leg straight across. This knee does not have to be straight. Because if you straighten it and your pelvis has to lift, then you're going a little too, you're trying too hard. You don't need to try so hard. Okay, bring that leg down. Perfect. All right, so this leg comes up, and up you come. So you play around with the angle here. So this knee is bent as much as it needs to be to have this hip at 90 degrees. Okay? Your hands are not like, we're not at the reins of a horse. And perhaps those who are would be like, but you don't grip the reins anyway. You can tell that I spend not much time with horses. But the idea is that we're not gripping this darn thing. We're just keeping it easy. That's why if we have the leg out here, it's a lot harder because there's a much greater weight away from the center of your body. And then just rotate there. Good. Now, actually, we weren't doing that. Sorry. I just got my brain went into a thought, and I just followed that thought. I'm going to talk about something here in a moment, but we're just going to bring that leg across. I love it. So the pelvis is basically the same. All that's happened is this segment of your leg has come across your body. Okay, lovely. And then bring that up. Okay, now, something I want to just have a brief chat about. This is where my thought was going. So, lots of times in yoga, we have the leg bone rotating and the ankle coming onto the knee. And this is often either called ankle to knee or thread the needle. And then what happens is that the legs lift up and the arm comes through. Now, I've spoken a lot about keeping the pelvis quiet as those leg bones move, and also not lifting through the shoulders and your head to grab, because we're doing everything external to the actual hip joint that's doing the movement. Now, in yoga, we often say we should flex this knee or flex this ankle to protect the knee. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'll be super honest with you, because I've seen a lot of people do this and then create they've put so much strain through their shin that they've actually created more problems in their shin. The other piece of it too is a lot of the knee issues that arise in yoga are because of the lack of mobility and the stability in the hip. So if we actually just improve the joint that contributes so much to the function of the knee, you're going to find that you don't actually have to do this, because the knee is inherently protected by way of better function in through the pelvis. Now, if you're committed to moving that ankle into that position and that's the way you practice, then go for it. If you feel that your knee feels better when you do this, go for it. Just because my opinion is one of, this is what I see, doesn't make you wrong or me right. It's just what I've noticed over time. So if this makes sense for you as being the way that you help your knee, go for it. And if you want to improve function of your hips so that you have even better knee function, this is something else for you to think about. Okay? All right, let's come back to this. We're going to take those legs into this rotation again, and then we're going to come back. Let's just see if anything is different now, hey? And how those hip flexors are now doing. What's going on with your feet? Are they sliding in or not? Or do you have actually more range of motion that's smooth and easy and coordinated? Remember, when it comes to pain, improving your range of motion is not correlated to decreasing of pain. Just like increasing strength does not correlate to decrease of pain. But what I have seen consistently over time is that when you move better, your pain reduces. So, is there a suppler, easier feeling, coordinated pattern between your leg bones and your pelvis? Lovely. Okay, now I'm going to bring my head back into the picture. I want you to settle. Whew, look at that. I want you to settle in, lying on your back, bringing your hands onto your belly, maybe one on your lower belly, one at your ribs, or maybe just on your belly, whatever makes the most sense for you, and feel yourself breathing. I'll talk about this in another video, but I like to think about the body as being a mechanical pump. So before air was air, or before breath was breath, it was air in front of your face. Then there was pressure change, and air came in and became breath. But here's the thing. The ability for your body to take in air has so much to do with the suppleness of your tissue. So if your rib cage is super tight, your lungs are not going to be able to expand as much. So when you improve all of this, in terms of the coordination, the suppleness, guess what happens? You breathe better. It's one of those really crazy results that happen. You don't have to focus so hard on making happen. So now, you just easy breathe, and you notice what's going on in your body now, having done a little bit of work through your spine, a little bit of work through your shoulders, a little bit of work through your pelvis. And just notice yourself breathing. Inhale and exhale. And just feel the body that you now have. It's the same body you had half an hour ago. But just notice how you're inhabiting it, or how your tissue is feeling. And know that this can be a new normal. Particularly if you're feeling better, right? As you gain more awareness about how you move in your biomechanics, and when you compensate, as you really, really get an inner feel for how your body moves, and when you compensate, you begin to really recognize the whispers of your body, so that you don't have to listen to the screams, because you're paying attention to the whispers, right? When you listen to the whispers, you don't have to hear the screams. And this exploration of good movement, of functional movement, of biomechanics, that in my mind is what gives you so much juice, so much data, so much information, so that you can pay closer attention to whispers, to the subtlety, so that you don't have to have the symptoms come back louder and stronger and with more intensity. And if they do, it's like, oh, oops, I pushed too hard. I moved too hard. I got too caught up in something. I was unaware. No biggie. It's just a communication pattern, right? It just lets you know something's up. And then as you continue to go, paying attention more to these quieter pieces, you'll be able to pay attention and listen and communicate at the quieter level. It's very, 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 very cool. You'll notice that the rest of your body holds a lot less tension. Even in your face. See where I'm going? Yeah. When you hold less tension, you just feel so much better. And I've seen women who are in their 60s at my training programs where they start to get less and less tension, and the room is amazed with how their skin looks. Yeah, I realize this is not about cosmetic gains, but it's certainly kind of fun when they happen, isn't it? So know that you can feel better in your body. You can feel better in your body. You can become stronger in your body simply by moving better, because you're improving those underlying coordinated patterns, which then enables adding load to become way, 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 way easier. So if you're a power lifter, deadlifter, if you're a sprinter, whatever you are, whatever activity you pursue, racing after children, cleaning houses, sitting in front of computers, working, whatever the activity is, you'll do it much better. All right? Today was filmed on Easter. You have a great Easter wherever you are. We're having an Easter egg hunt today. So have a really great day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.